be way in over his head against that Vikings defense. As Mike McCarthy said today on a conference call with us when someone asked him about Kaiser's performance, he said it was not good, obviously. And then with Rodgers, I still like the Vikings. I think he's going to be limited enough mobility. Even then, he's still great. If he's a statue, he's still great. But I like the way this defense is playing, and I liked what I saw from Cousins. So I would say a tight game, something like 24-23, 24-21, something like that. But I do like the Vikings to win.
Chip Scoggins of the Star Tribune, thank you very much for coming on, and you can read his articles at thestartribune.com. Awesome writer. Thanks again, Chip.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
So after Sunday, I really was getting into arguing with one of my buddies about, the best coaches in the league, and you're going to get your obvious ones. You're going to get your Bill Belichick. You're going to get now your Doug Peterson. You're going to get your Sean McVays. And I think people, put Mike Zimmer up there. I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves. And this was one of those games on Sunday where you saw Mike Zimmer really trust his defense, and he didn't care how many times he ran the ball. Okay, he said to San Fran and Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, we're not going to make any risks. We're not going to take risks. We're just going to run the ball, kill the clock, and if that means going 3 and out, back-to-back drives, I'm okay with that. Beat us. Let Garoppolo beat this defense of the Minnesota Vikings. And, being a coach obviously is so difficult. You got to pick and choose spots. You got to pick and choose your game plans. And we've seen Mike Zimmer have an aggressive game plan offensively, defensively, and then a conservative one, which we saw on Sunday with the offense. This really shows me that Mike Zimmer is a top 5, at least, head coach in this league. When you think about the adversity that this guy's had to deal with, let me just begin with the quarterbacks. He's had 6 quarterbacks in 5 years. He first came on in 2014 with Matt Castle. He got hurt, so he had to play Teddy Bridgewater. Then Bridgewater got hurt, so he had to get Sam Bradford. Then Sam Bradford had to got hurt, and he had to bring in Case Keenum. Then Case Keenum, obviously, is a free agent. You bring in Kirk Cousins. You're talking about 5 guys. 4 of them were hurt. Okay, Castle, Bridgewater, Bradford. I mean, that's a lot of things to ask a head coach. If you tell me that a coach is going to go through 6 quarterbacks in 5 years, are you telling me that he's going to have a 40-25 record? I mean, that's very hard to do. The best coaches around the league have had the same quarterbacks for years. For years. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, years. Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, years. Look around. No one does what the Vikings have been able to do with the quarterback situation. 6 different quarterbacks in 5 years. He loses Adrian Peterson. I didn't even get into that. You lose the best running back at the time to suspension after you start off 1-0. Adrian Peterson was still very good. Okay, and 2016, he was, or 2015, I'm sorry, he was okay. He ran for over 1,300 yards. They lost in the wild card game, but he was still a threat, certainly. And then he moves on from Adrian Peterson. He said, we don't need Adrian Peterson. He moves on. He's had 3 different offensive coordinators. Norv Turner, who bailed on him halfway through the season. Then he had Pat Shurmur, now with the Giants. And now you have John DeFilippo. He's only been with the Vikings for 5 years. He's been through 6 quarterbacks, 3 offensive coordinators, and an eye surgery. Let's not forget about that. He's had to go through a big-time, major, serious eye surgery. The adversity that Mike Zimmer has had to deal with throughout his tenure with the Vikings is remarkable that he's still coaching the Minnesota Vikings right now. Because if you tell me a coach is going to go through 6 quarterbacks, 3 offensive coordinators, lose their best running back in franchise history, are they still going to be coaching after 5 years? I tell you, no way. Let's go through season by season. So Zimmer comes in 2014. He goes 7-9. He loses Matt Castle. 7 wins for a team that was just, embarrassing with Leslie Frazier. Me and my dad were talking about it, but, we had lunch a couple days ago. Leslie Frazier was a disaster. When the Vikings played the Packers, that was a nightmare. I remember watching one night on a Sunday night, the Packers are running up the score. Leslie Frazier's holding this clipboard and kind of looking into space. It was a helpless feeling. It was like being punched in the gut time after time again. The Vikings were in desperate need of someone to step in. Let's be honest here. Zimmer has been able to take the Vikings from the bottom of the NFL to a Super Bowl contender in just 4 years. Actually, there's no coach in Vikings team history that actually won more games in their first 4 seasons than Zimmer. Okay? But let's look at the years that he's had to deal with. You had 2014 where you went 7-9, you lose Matt Castle. Then you go to 2015. You win the division. NFC North title with Teddy Bridgewater, a second-year quarterback, and you lose in the playoffs because Blair Walsh decides to miss a 27-yard field goal. The next year, Peterson suspended. Bridgewater's leg almost fell off. You move into a new stadium. Sam Bradford's knee is all messed up. The offensive line is a mess. You finish 8-8. 8-8. Listen, 8-8 for some franchises, that's a success. You go tell the Jets right now, all right, we'll finish 8-8. That's a success for them. I know there's different standards, but still. And then you had the obvious 2017. You lose the starting quarterback in Bradford. Then you lose Dalvin Cook early in the season. Even without Sam Bradford and Dalvin Cook, the Vikings still won the NFC North with ease. Let's be honest with you. I know Rodgers was out. They still won with ease. Mike Zimmer took Case Keenum to the NFC Championship. Case Keenum, who was going from team to team, couldn't find a job. Mike Zimmer, or, you can give Zimmer, Shermer, both of them credit. They just gave Case Keenum a lifetime $1 million contract. He can give that to his kids, his grandkids. He's set. Just think about how he handled all of this. He was also able to manage a locker room. You don't hear anything regarding the Vikings locker room. There's no off-the-field issues. They had one issue with the wide receiver who got in trouble in the preseason. Cut. You can't do it. He's really the last disciplinary coach to me that really will get into people's face. Him and Belichick, I think. Belichick's more like, he's a little more scary because he won't even say anything, and the next day you'll realize your locker's cleaned out. Zimmer's not like that, but this is really the last disciplinary coach that's willing to get in people's faces and really dig into you. Think about the locker room he has to attend to. You got Pro Bowlers everywhere. Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith, Daniil Hunter, Everson Griffin, Linville Joseph. Think about these dudes. And I have kind of a theory on this. Offensively, and there's no issues defensively or offensively. I'm just pointing this out. Look at your stars. Adam Thielen, undrafted. Stephon Diggs, 6th round. These guys don't have chips on their shoulders. They don't have egos. I'm sorry. They have chips on their shoulder. Kirk Cousins was a 3rd round pick. You don't have a bunch of, I think Baker Mayfield's handled it well. You don't have Baker Mayfield's number 1 pick. You don't have Saquon Barkley's number 2 pick. You don't have Jameis Winston, number 1 pick. These number 1 pick egos. The Vikings have none of that. And I think that's why they're so successful, because they understand how hard they needed to work. What got them there was their passion and their drive to work and do anything they can to get to the NFL. That worked for them. Being egotistical, that didn't get them anything. Let's also look at Mike Zimmer's draft in the past couple years here from 2014. Let me name you some names here. Let's first begin with Mike Hughes. He made immediate impact. First Viking ever, right? First Viking ever, defensive back, to return an interception for a touchdown in his first game. Check, Mike Hughes. UCF, drops to him. Mike Zimmer takes him, even though he has disciplinary issues. I brought this up a couple of shows before. If Mike Hughes goes to Cincinnati, that might be a mess for him because Marvin Lewis has no control. Okay? Even Mike Tomlin, to an extent, doesn't really have control over his team. But Mike Zimmer has the courage to draft a guy that may have a little discipline issues because he knows that once you bring a guy in, especially to a stacked defense who has a bunch of Pro Bowlers, a bunch of guys that Hughes can learn from, there's no issues. He's not, okay, if you act up, see ya. Trey Wayne's another guy. He took slow to develop, I'll give you that. His rookie year, a little slow. Didn't seem like he was going to be ready for this game. Seattle playoff game, he makes an interception. He's really grown now. Now he's the starting cornerback next to Xavier Rhodes. He's looked really good. And then how about Danielle Hunter? Danielle Hunter, LSU. 3rd round pick? He's a budding star. Have you ever seen a human being look the way Danielle Hunter is? I mean, do you see his arms? Can you imagine if you're Aaron Rodgers on Sunday and I got a little banged up knee and in the corner of my eye I see Danielle Hunter chasing me down? Oh my God. Anthony Barr, okay, UCLA, made him into a Pro Bowler. Eric Kendricks, UCLA, stud. Stephon Diggs, 6th round, stud. And then Pat Elflein, Ohio State, your starting center, your guy. Mike Hughes, Trey Waynes, Danielle Hunter, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Stephon Diggs, Pat Elflein. I mean, let's be honest here. Great teams, it all starts up top. Let's be honest here. It all starts up top. You need a really good head coach, and then everything else really follows. Okay? Players obviously make the plays, but coaches really need to bring in the guys, make sure they're doing the right things, make sure they got the right guys for the system, but it all starts up top. And the Vikings haven't had this for a long, long time. Let's be honest here. The coaching history of the Minnesota Vikings, do you guys want me to do this? I can if you guys want. I'm asking. Do you want me to sit and tell you the last couple coaches that ran through Minnesota? I will. Let's begin with before Mike Zimmer. And that would be Leslie Frazier. Did you guys like Leslie Frazier? Was that a coach that you liked? Frazier went 21-32. How about Brad Childress? And if anyone gives Brad Childress credit for what happened in 2009, you don't know football. Because as soon as Brett Favre came in, it totally changed everything. You can watch, I like to watch Championship Aspirations 2009 Minnesota Vikings. Check it out, but just don't watch the last 10 minutes of it. Brett Favre is continuously arguing with Childress, saying, please, just let me... Brad, let me do my thing. Let me call the plays. There's a couple times where Brett Favre throws deep to Sidney Rice, and he looks at Childress, see what I mean? Let me call my plays. And then Brad Childress puts 12 men in the huddle. So Brad Childress really, I mean, other than 2009, the only reason why he finished over 500, 39-35, is because of that 2009 year. Let's be real. And then Mike Tice, pencil in the year, Mike Tice. Did you guys like Mike Tice? Dennis Green was good. Okay, we all can agree. We love Dennis Green. Okay, but let's look between Mike Zimmer and Dennis Green. Leslie Frazier, Brad Childress, and Mike Tice. Ugh. Man. Mike Zimmer's been he really changed the dynamic of this Minnesota Vikings team. It's no longer a joke anymore. I'm telling you, you all remember. When Mike Zimmer, pre-Mike Zimmer, with Leslie Frazier, the Vikings were cupcakes. They're cupcakes. The Packers smacked them around. The Bears smacked them around. The Lions smacked us around. Please. This was a team that was in desperate need of a guy to come in and make the Vikings relevant again. Think about that. time where you're looking for a coach and you got to get lucky, okay? And I bet there's a lot of teams right now